20 budget?
My
now?
purpose in adding this here, and typically the planning board doesn't have a budget. However, we have about, I think, 11,000 left from the zoning bylaw revision. So sometimes planning board members want to go to what's called the Citizen Planning Council. They have meetings throughout the year that allow planning board members to go to seminars based on, you know, subdivision approval, A&R approval, special permit law, those kinds of things. So we're in the budget cycle right now, and I'm preparing it for my department. So I wanted to put it out there if board members wanted to request any kind of funding for things like that.
Yeah, just throw in 100,000 would be good.
Yeah, because I know Chris is
cover it.
looking, he wants to go back to public policy and planning, get your MBA in that, right?
Or are these conventions in places like Las Vegas?
I'm sure there are.
Patrick, does the town manager have a budget to cover things like employee schooling or anything along those?
Individual departments carry funding for that. For instance, I have to carry that for myself if I want to go to American Planning Association meeting, you know, or wherever it might be. The building inspectors have to have ongoing accreditation for what they do too. So we carry a few thousand for them to be able to do that continuing education, which they have to, you know, pursue that every year.
So are you saying that the
Endorsing
11,000
such
is
a-
excessive?
I would.
That was for the you said that was for the bylaw
Well,
revision, right?
that money was approved specifically for revision of the zoning bylaw
Right. So what can it be used for then?
and the map. Well, we would need, we don't necessarily have to ask for that money to be used for this purpose. We could. What it would require is that for town meeting would have to reappropriate that. I'm going to suggest that we want to hang on to that because there may be, you know, other elements of the zoning bylaw that we'll want to fine tune with the use of consultants. You know, we were lucky enough to be able to get CPC approval and funding to do this portion of the master plan. You know, let's say we wanted to rewrite the GPOD or something else, you know, we'd tip into that 11,000. But what I'm suggesting is that we want to keep it for zoning bylaw revision kinds of things, and then make a new request for conferences if the board members are interested in that.
Rick, you had a thought?
Well, I'm sort of thinking along the same lines as once we finish the housing plan update, we've got to do some implementation. We may want to use that money to have a consultant help us with the rewrite of the open space and farmland preservation bylaw, or as you said, GPOD, or whatever their recommendations entail. I mean, because they'll come up with recommendations, but then we're going to be having to implement those and probably could use some technical assistance. So I would.
Patrick, just to tell you, there's some history here too. Like this board has sent me to what would be waterworks, water study commissions. I mean, it was, you know, for a day for $100 and a free lunch. But that instance sending me because I was kind of town representative to the study of the water position with the Ipswich River and the
Sure.
different uses and what have you. So there's prior reference to it. There was when you came on board, there was something like $15,000 kitty that the planning board had to work with, if my memory serves me correctly. Keeping the board members, all the boards up to date with the specific things that apply to their duties is logical.
Okay.
So based on that, is the board asking me to ask for funds
Yes.
for conferences?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Very
would
good.
come out of the existing 11 to
No.
reappropriate?
All totally
No, no.
new.
Or is this new
New.
money?
It'd be new.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking? I mean, it's not gonna be that much, right? It's,
You know,
of
it
it.
probably costs $200 for a conference between your travel, your meal, the price of admission per each. So maybe 1,500, something like that.
okay. Great. Can we table the future potential zoning bylaw amendments till next time? I guess just knowing that some of that stuff will be coming down the road, whether it's, we talked
Sure.
about revising the signage bylaw. Patrick wants to talk about pool placement, because it doesn't really specify where a pool can go currently, so things like that. I think we can wait.
The big one really is to deal with the inclusionary housing, as we found out. That's the real thing that we need to get dealt with sooner rather than later.
Right, and there's, Judy would be a perfect person.
Yep.
Yeah.
She wrote our first inclusionary housing bylaw.
Yeah, can we just ask her what a good one is now? And like, based on the numbers that we have in this area,
Right.
what's a good?
It shouldn't be rocket
No,
science.
No, it's
Most of it's fine, it's just the
number.
numbers.
It's the number, and then it's the revision of the language
Right.
of the on-site units.
Yep.
Yep, right.
You know, which we could
That's easy.
still have it in there, but we'd have to make sure the units are
Yeah,
non-age restricted.
right.
Good. Is that a discussion you can have with her and
Yeah.
ask and
I can,
circulate and
Yeah, get a little head start on it.
around we go?
sure.
Okay.
Okay. Meeting minutes? Everybody had a chance to review from the 23rd? Any issues? Okay. Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2018 minutes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. Any quick updates?
Oh, yeah.
Quick?
Open, yeah.
Okay.
Open Space Committee. I talked about a week and a half ago to Sean Farrell and said, hey, Sean, what's going on? Sean said, I'm waiting for people to send in applications. I said, Sean, you're never going to get any with what you got online right now, because nobody knows that that's what they have to do. Do you mind if I rewrite what you want to put online? I rewrote it. He sent me an email today saying it was fine. I basically said, we're going to have people that are going to work together and make compromises and so on, and here's where you go to get the form and send it in with your resume. And he wrote and said, it's fine. It'll get put online. When it gets put online, I can then go to places like the Facebook pages like I do and say, hey, you want to find out about it? There's where you get the application is, and there's what the requirements are.
Cool. Great.
Okay. So it's not moving, but
I
it's
thought you were
moving.
gonna say you rewrote it, posted it, and you got 10
Oh, dear
applications that
God.
day, you know.
And I've had a couple of conversations with Ann Giroux, and I wish she'd get on the board, but she won't.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll converse with her.
Anything else?
Historic District Commission, if you'd like to hear. What happened tonight has got me thinking, why, with Ford making an application, he knows well enough that he's got to go to the Historic Commission, Historic District Commission. Why wouldn't it be appropriate for someone doing any kind of anything in the Historic District? They have to go to the Historic District before they come to the Planning Board. Should be.
Well, I don't think he thought he had to come for a roadway, or a modification of a roadway. That's why he didn't ask. I mean, he will for the houses. He realizes that.
But at no point has he been to the Historic District Commission.
For what?
Right, and I think his point, as Brian was indicating, was he saw no need to do that, and
There were no houses.
and he'd been through several subdivisions, and and he didn't, and they got approved. So it's sort of a momentum kind of thing. So I think maybe the Historic District Commission might want to think about whether it wants to get involved in roadways or not. I mean, as you said,
Or if they even have the purview for it.
or even if you have purview, and that's why maybe Donna's memo back to us on this roadway will help provide some guidance to the Historic District Commission as to whether it's something that you even want to get involved in. You know, Paulo Gismondo was making the point, and reading the language, you know, was saying if the roadway would materially impact the historic district. And our reading, I think, or mine at least, was that it's an existing road. It went through a review process, probably by then the Historic District Commission, and was allowed. And our current position is, well, it's an existing roadway. It is being a minor modification within the Historic District. It's not a new road, so it's not going to materially impact the Historic District. If they're going to build a house on that lot, they're going to have to come before the Historic District Commission.
Yes.
That's an obvious. So I think
But we could argue, even with rebuilding the town hall here, is part of rebuilding the town hall is the landscaping outside.
yeah, that's fine. That's
But you don't have purview over landscape.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Oh, it's
so, I mean, you can
never
argue,
have before.
right, I mean,
Not sure that you're not gonna have it now, because I think that they.
right. So you can argue that, but as you said yourself, it's kind of gray in some instances. So I think Tom just thought it's not relevant, so I'm not going to bring it up.
As it pertains to the current, like what the planning board is supposed to do, we're supposed to approve this subdivision. Isn't it something that if the planning board said, you know, we'd really love to have the historic district chime in because then, otherwise, then it's the job of the planning board, right?
Right.
As it pertain, at least as it pertains to widening a road 6 feet. A private way, sorry, 6 feet.
And they were trying to make a big deal of the two horns on the end.
Say that again?
The two horns, the widening, when it goes out like that, they're sometimes called a horn. And that is a standard part of a driveway.
Angle's out now.
Huh?
The angle's out now a little bit, it's just not as.
Yeah. And she was trying to make a big deal out of that, and that's nonsense.
Right, we good?
The other business about that, Patrick, you sent out that email saying there's a planning meeting, it went along two people from the planning board could go to that meeting somewhere,
MAPC.
forget where, I think
Update.
huh?
Oh, right.
Friday, is it?
Yeah, regarding the MAPC regional planning.
Yeah.
Kickoff thing. It's Thursday morning begins at 8:30.
Got a
I
couple
know
other
that
thoughts.
I plan to go, and the town manager plans to go as well.
Can any planning board members go?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna, if I don't have anything scheduled, I might drop in because I'm looking for a free meal.
It's only till 9:30, you're not gonna get much of a meal.
Yeah, bad timing.
Does anybody else want to go? I'd go if nobody else does.
I can't.
Yeah. You can't, can you?
All right, Ed,
Okay.
go ahead.
We're- The Historic District Commission, we're making an effort to, a preliminary discussion on historic district guidelines. For example, we had a meeting to endorse the shingles of one of the church buildings. Roofing shingles at best are a temporary measure to protect the building that's underneath it. So that's a deteriorating, for all practical purposes, a blue top would do the same thing. So, but to make applicants building a house or something, or redoing a house in the district, it seems illogical to make everybody that goes and reshingles a house every 20 years has to go through the process again. There should be some guidelines that say, yeah, go ahead and shingle it, and so that's one thing. And then we're trying to get a date with the architect that's been hired to redo the town hall, so we could get a date just to express our opinions of what the town hall as a historic item is addressed, such as the handrail out front, which Tom Cardilano and I both agree needs to be replaced because it's rusting off. You got things like the bicycle rack out front that belongs out back somewhere. Goes on and on. And, so just let you know those things are going on.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Last Wednesday night, the ZBA did approve the 40B policy that I had sent to this planning board, I guess probably a couple, 3 months ago. They made very, very limited changes to it.
Great. Good.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Never anyone opposed?